Guys, it's gonna be a brief. It's gonna be a brief program. Um, as I am going to work, um, that's why I'm using my mobile phone so that I won't stay long. I'll just give it a couple of minutes to start the program anyway. Yeah, the program is about Barrow posing a risk to our national security, and the reason for the program is because of some of the indications. I mean, there are many, but just the flashpoints that we have seen. I want to talk about what happened today somewhere with the APRC against, the police, APRC, but we all know that the police were sent there by the executive, and what happened to the journalists. Let me start with to say that Barrow is posing a risk to our national security. And I've been saying this in many aspects, but let's just start to say the failure of governance, that's what causes a threat to national security. A failure of managing your institution right, that's what causes the institution to be in trouble. Because of, as institutional leaders, we have our programs and actions. We have our methodology, how we govern or how we do things, how we look after our institutions. We do our assessments. We do the right things. There are things that are fundamental, in any system to work. That's why we call for the reforms of institutions and all things. And the responsibility we take as leaders, the way we behave, is all part of it. When we do our assessments, then we bring out strategies and programs that will mitigate the circumstances to change. But in this case, that's why the problems faced by the country is the failure of Barrow. And failure of Barrow, yes, because Barrow does not have what it takes. But the most important thing is Barrow is not interested in doing the right thing. It's not out of ignorance. It's out of the sheer greed. Barrow have seen an opportunity to govern, in a sense, to be in place, not even govern, to be in place in order to benefit. And Barrow surrounds himself with people alike. People like him. And the most important thing, as I said, they don't have any set of wanting to see a progressive nation. Two, they don't even have what it takes to see through a progressive nation. You see, if they had what it takes, and they even lack the interest of the greater good, they could have managed to control the situation in order to stay in power, but they fail in that. The failure is here. I keep saying it. Barrow cannot even form a political party. Cannot even form a political party. I said this from the beginning that he would not even be able to form a political party, and that's the fact. We have seen what is happening here now. Trying to build alliance of anybody that will turn around to say anything will form an alliance. That's what he thinks is going to keep him. Obviously, the failure of his political, politics is posing a risk to our national security. The failure of the transition, failure to ensure we have a transition. The things that are very important, security sector reforms, civil service reforms, and many other projects that are important, he failed. He went on to projects that he thought those projects would give him what he wants. They think Gambians are stupid. Go and build bridges and roads. Or anything. I say this thing again. Any successful project that was completed under Barrow was designed either in the First Republic, just as the OMV project in the First Republic, or during the dictator's time. There's nothing wrong with that. But we just have to make it clear. That's what governments do. They inherit the good and the bad. When they inherit the good, they make it even better. When they inherit the bad, they make it better. But here, he have not designed any, not the Banjul project, not the Hakalang project, not any other project that he have designed and executed. Any project they designed, they did it for corruption. And all these projects were not strategically thought through to look at the finances, the priorities, and everything else. Everything is so, let me do it so that I'll be elected. Then let's forget about the development in Basse, the development of the OMVG project, which is not even, one component is complete. There's one component that is complete. And hold him for what he was supposed to be doing is the stability of the nation, first. Two, to ensure we have our transition. He is the ultimate. He said that he have the constitutional rights, but he forgot about the constitutional responsibilities when he said he's going to have the full term and run for elections again. He disregarded the agreement. Fine. Now, you disregard the agreement, but you fail on everything else that we agreed on. You fail to honor our agreement to the people, and you fail on ensuring the fostering freedoms. The peace and stability of the nation, you are threatening that because of your shared greed. And if we Gambians allow it, Barrow will take our freedoms. But we will not. We will not allow him to take our freedoms. But that's where the problem is. Because that means that we are going to resist. Now, if an executive project is to take off our freedoms and we resist, what does that translate to? Instability. This is what we are seeing. He's going after people. He's going after institutions. He's going after anybody or anything that he thinks would stop him from winning an election. Because he cannot win an election. I said that. I said that from the beginning. And when I say these things, it's not like, yes, I know I'm a fool, but it's not I'm seeing the future. But you can you can assess these things. You cannot win an election. You see, the word incumbent is misunderstood. It's not only, especially in this time, it's not about, the powers you have. It's about how you use those powers. Delivery. The transactions have changed. The factors have changed. It's delivery. What the opposition does is give hope and translate that hope, articulate that hope so that people believe it and they will win over. But the government have the responsibility to deliver, to change the situation, change the environment, and so people's life will be better. And people can sit down and say, our lives are better. But what measure are we looking at? The fundamental freedoms is something Gambians gave themselves. And maintaining that freedoms is what Gambians are doing for themselves. Barrow is trying to threaten that. The stability is Gambians who are maintaining that. He's trying to threaten that. I will move on to the second bit because I want to keep it short. Barrow played into Jammeh's hands. People that know, behind the scenes, I do my national security assessments behind the scenes, and I do share with people, strategic people, to the extent of getting to Barrow himself. Barrow knows that. He does not like what I will say, and so people that are around him are aware, because I have concerns. I don't just sit down, I don't just come on Facebook and talk and leave. I monitor the situation, I spend my time, resources, and energy. And I use my expertise. I have proof of every situation I have assessed. And I've written recommendations. And I have advised where we lead into. And most of that too, I did communicate on my programs. I did communicate on my programs. It's a common sense. Dictators don't go away. Dictators would have to be controlled, either been locked up or they are no more. Hence, dictators are alive, and they have any instrument that supports them. They will try to create an environment that they will prosper. During the impasse, I did a risk assessment, even though I'm away out of the Gambia, because I did it for, I work in projects in other countries that I have never visited, especially the Gambia that I am from. I made a risk assessment, and my 7 points were: first was governance, the transition. My assessment was first governance, successful. Two was the dictator and his mechanisms around him. What the dictatorship to tackle that. And if you look at that you would have addressed the security sector reforms, civil service reforms, and other things, because that's what makes the dictatorship. It's not only the dictator. And obviously, the caliber of people, caliber of people to be appointed in strategic sectors that will ensure we have what we desire. I went on to touch onto many aspects, and 7 point was our strategic relations between Senegal, to look into border disputes and resource, share management, because of the mineral resources along our borders. These are assessments I did. And these were two shared. And I know Barrow knows about this, because I know people that spoke to him about it. But the guy has never been interested. He has said this, and we said it before, but he said it now, that from 2017 he was quoting, trying to get to bed with the APRC. From 2017. He said it. And when we said that, people thought we were divisive. But I said, in fact, the records are there in Dakar, when he was Dakar. I said during the impasse that Barrow have already started to do that. And people said, no, why are we agitating this? But he failed. He played into Jammeh's hands. Jammeh is irrelevant. What makes Jammeh relevant is what is in the country, how the country is governed. Technically, what Barrow did is to sanitize Jammeh, to give Jammeh the audacity to speak. When we had the Janneh Commission, Jammeh did not speak because he was battered with facts, evidence. We had the TRRC, Jammeh did not speak. He was battered. There's nothing like the asylum conditions. That's a lie. You'll be surprised to know that there's nothing like an asylum agreement. Jammeh is a criminal. But he sanitized Jammeh. I keep on telling Gambians, he played into Jammeh's hands. Barrow did. Even, you see, some of this APRC, so-called executive or underground, they even don't know what's happening. I said this, Jammeh held series of negotiations in Guinea-Conakry with Barrow, with Barrow's representative, I mean. And everything started during the burial arrangements for Jammeh's mother. It started then. Tangara and the SIS, that's when they, during the burial arrangement, that's when it started, when they were negotiating that. That's how they have an opening to start to arrange for this, make these arrangements. And when during that period, when the officials that came from Equatorial Guinea, I think one of them was a daughter to Obiang, visited State House. And a follow-up was done by Tangara, and the SISDG visited Equatorial Guinea. We know that. I said it. When we blow the whistle, then they came out and put a press statement. We know that. It happened. They went on. Later, the negotiations were moved to Guinea-Conakry under the auspices of Condé. Jammeh was represented by a Gambian lawyer. And that people that think that Gano party was an accident or Sirif Haidara formed Gano is a lie. Jammeh formed Gano. Jammeh financed Gano. I will say it today. And it's not only Gano. Not only Gano. A lot will come out. Those who don't know. We made these reports. This government talking about, I don't know Alaji Conte. I heard about his business. I had heard about him. I don't know the controversy surrounding it. I didn't have any facts, no evidence about it. But it's interesting to hear that someone who registered company running or who had a track record, whatever it is, I know he had a track record, that his account was frozen by executive orders. This is what I had. It's ridiculous. The financial intelligence, Jammeh transactions, people that know, people that talk to me that know, that's supposed to know, not everybody that talk to me would know this, but people that's supposed to know would know. Jammeh has been running his businesses in Senegambia, in Gambia and Senegal and the West African district. And that's why people come out and say, Jammeh is broke. It's a lie. They know. They know. They know. They know the people, and one of them is always, and one of them was at the opening of the OMVG project with Barrow. And Barrow knows that that guy speaks to Jammeh. And these are the people, and some of these businesses are not legitimate. They have component of drug trafficking. They have component of smuggling. Scamming people with gold, these things. The infrastructure is still intact for Jammeh. Those people live in Almaty, in Senegal. But no, Barrow is dining with them. Do you know how many businesses could be closed in the Gambia knowing that they link to money laundering, drug trafficking? But you will not hear about that. Because they're not in Barrow is not interested in that because he benefits from that. I will come to that next. I'll come to that next, and that's a separate program. What I'm saying here is, Jammeh knows what he's doing. Jammeh is not in this politics to win an election. Jammeh knows that. You see, I keep on saying something. One thing about Jammeh, and this someone knows Jammeh before Jammeh becomes Jammeh as the president. That who knew Jammeh's journey, who have followed Jammeh, who have the expertise to understand Jammeh and have decoded Jammeh. One thing you talk, Jammeh, it's not that stupid. Jammeh do think ahead. Jammeh do these things. There's a lot that did not even come out of the TRRC. Because these are the failures of the TRRC. People thought Jammeh only used force or threat or fear to govern us. That's a lie. Jammeh was strategic in getting people to collaborate with him. Gambians, and they are still in the political, in the political arena, in order to stay relevant and stay in power and control. That's the things will come out. And that's why if you think that 2016 was only by going to the ballot box and vote, you'll be joking. It takes more. It took more than that. It took sacrifices. Then we could rely on the ballot. The ballot would have never given us our freedom. But we forget about all that. Jammeh is holding on to one thing, is the infrastructure that Barrow refused to reform. And that starts with society itself. There's a lot that should have happened to educate Gambians, sensitize Gambians to understand nationhood and nation building? Nothing. The reforms, I mean, see, I know when we talk about intelligence, people think about NIA, lying, passing them and reporting people. But there's no country on earth that will progress without an intelligence agency that is capable and a police force that is capable. The army deals with these things. And in the case of Gambia, our national security threats are domestic. They are domestic. The other threats which are international, and these are things we share. What we do is manage it. The aspects of our army should be to be based on an assessment of the threat and to act as the physical contingency planning. But there should be strategies that will govern the country based on thinkers. Thinkers. It's not physical. Intellectual is not physical. We are protected by international law in many aspects. We are a sovereignty, for God's sake. It's not our size. It's our right to exist. But we have a responsibility to exist. And we cannot exist without people with knowledge in governance. The institutions, none of them are fit for purpose. I know people will say, why, I'm not masters, I'm not barrister, I'm not Lee. It's nonsense. They are not fit for purpose. It takes a lot. It takes a lot. It's not only what it says on the paper. It's not only what it says on the paper. Now, the lack of reforms in society, lack of reform in institutions, other institutions, the security sector, the civil society, the civil service, but the criminal justice system itself. You know, when we talk about criminal justice systems, you look at the aspects of fighting corruption, the corruption. And now, the Gambian narco state. You see, the narco state did not happen by chance. It's happened through corruption. These are the failures. Now, lack of all these reforms, now what it does is give Jammeh. Dictators will always come back. Go and study the life of dictators. When they flee a country, they always try to come back. Either they succeed or they fail. In some circumstances, they succeed. And how do they come back? Normally, it's because they have an infrastructure intact. That's why I'm appealing to Gambians. I'm not appealing to a particular political party. I am appealing to Gambians for themselves. And this appeal goes to the people. I am not talking about the non-entities that call themselves executive members of both the breakaway and the whatever APRC. They are all non-entities. If anybody would hold on to Jammeh, it's a non-entity. I am talking about the genuine people that are following Jammeh with shared ignorance or because of other sentiments. These are the people we should appeal to. And other Gambians. Who are these other Gambians? Us. To be very careful on what Barrow is doing. Let's all not fall for it. You see, at times, I know people are saying, I put it a stroke as conspiracy, that Barrow is planning an extra strategy to destabilize the country so that he can run away. No. Barrow have the freedom. And if he was smart, if he had the right people around him, they would have given him an extra strategy, not even to run these elections. Because Barrow run these elections, he's going to lose. Barrow lose this election, he's going to mile 2. And I'll tell you, if he has strategies and advisors, there are many ways. You think Rawlings just negotiated? I mean, it took a lot of work and years of work to bind agreements with in many aspects. Barrow could have probably face an economic inquiry that his assets that he acquired wrongfully would be taken off him. But he would not ever go into mile 2. But if Barrow runs elections, Barrow would end up in mile 2. But the most important thing here, why we should be careful, is those elections. Barrow will not intentionally do anything in order to run away. No. Barrow would do something intentionally to think that he can delay these elections. No. Election comes, as Barrow said it himself, is a 5 years. Your 5 years you are going, if it is going to even be under an interim government, it will be under an interim leadership. But Barrow 5 years, you are gone one way or the other. Then elections will be held. But we are the only ones now. Barrow is not keeping the peace. Barrow is not even, some of these things are not even intentional. It's just stupid. Because if any responsible leader would understand that he cannot control an ungovernable situation, it's his interest to ensure the country is stable. But again, this is what I want Gambians to remember. He is thinking of that he is secure in State House. He is secure wherever he goes. He can be airlifted and taken away. Now it's up to us. We remember what happened in the impasse. He ran away. And people, a woman actually, that sacrificed, and that's what I'm saying. People don't understand even a lot that went behind the scenes. Why he escaped, why his family escaped. I know nonsense narrative have been talked about at the TRRC. He is expecting that he will be safe and his family. He doesn't bother about Gambians. All he wants to see for him to say. Barrow knows that once he leaves this the governance, he will be no more. He will be nothing. That's what creates dictatorship. Dictatorships are created because they have fear of leaving office. Barrow have already developed the fear of leaving office because of his malpractice. Now he's going on to committing offenses of human rights nature. Because those police were sent. The blocking accounts was instructed from the executive and other things that we don't know of. He is threatened there. Now, if Gambians resist in a certain way, in a responsible way, we will be part of the fuel to that fire. Barrow have already set the fire. We should know how to conduct ourselves. But that's a separate program to ensure we avoid that country be set in flames, because our families would be affected. Our nation would be affected. Our sovereignty would be affected. Barrow is not worth it. He have played into Yahya Jammeh's hands. If today, even the police force, not much, even the police force, are not for Barrow. They are not for Barrow. You'll be surprised that if, God forbid it happen, we'll be surprised. I'm not going to go into details, especially if the armed forces have to come out, especially if economics have to be in the mix of it. That's a civil war. That's a civil war. Soldiers involved in civilian matters, it escalates, that's a civil war. Because what happens is you have different factions. But to cut it short, go and check what happened in Congo-Brazzaville, how it developed. Go and check what happened in Guinea-Bissau when Nini Vera came back. Nini Vera was deposed, he went on exile. How did he manage to come back? Go and study that and understand. These are things that we should understand. And in other countries. Or where dictators have to die in exile. Dictators, that's how they end up. This is the two-way they end up. Either come back by destabilizing the country or die in the same. But Barrow is the one facilitating that. How did it happen? The structure around Barrow is APRC. Now, be it the so-called party in MPP, it's now APRC. We have seen it. From Lamin Queen Jammeh to go and look at the composition of that executive. Sirinjai and others. Just look at that ridiculous. The cabinet, go and check how many people serve APRC cabinet in that cabinet. Especially the most strategic things from what? Defense, interior, external affairs, finance, 4. And some of those people even in cabinet were Jammeh enablers. Now, what do you expect? The security sector is not reformed. Now, you don't have, you see, it's not the politics, it's Barrow. Because Barrow is inefficient, ineffective, and he doesn't have what it takes. Any incumbent could have taken the support base of Jammeh without touching the APRC as a name. What you do is deliver. Deliver, deliver, deliver. Politics, bread and butter. What makes people to wake up and go back to bed, that's what the politics should be. If any incumbent, that's what you do. It's not running around looking for so-called people to bring bring a party. Barrow himself said it. You can say that you have a party, but you don't own the people. Now, why did he expect to go through Jammeh to have the people? Why did he expect to go to Fabakary Mondiate to have the people? You are the president of the Gambia. Deliver on no programs, deliver on healthcare, on other things, and see if Gambians would bother who governs them. The dislike of Barrow is not hate. It's Gambians looking after their interests. He doesn't have what it takes to look after their interests. Barrow failed because he have the major enablers around him. What do you think those people do? They don't even know anything better. They don't know how to manage any situation. That's why you have the PIU behaving the way they're behaving. That's why you have ministers behaving the way they're behaving. Who is to blame? Barrow, because he has the powers of fire, and he hired them. Who else to blame? Barrow. But not only, remember again, I said to you that he was having negotiations in Guinea-Conakry. Not only negotiation in Guinea-Conakry, Barrow was paying the bills for the negotiation in Guinea-Conakry. Where did he get the money from? He was paying the lawyers representing Yaya Jammeh. Does the executive, does APRC executive know that? No. Yaya Jammeh Barrow played into Yaya Jammeh's hands. To the last minute, desperation, Yaya Jammeh gave them hope. Barrow thought he have it. Last minute, that's when he was desperate, traveling to Guinea-Conakry. The Guinea-Bissau president traveling to Guinea-Conakry. That was the last minute. Tangara traveling to Guinea-Conakry. They all frantically went in there. Jammeh said them no to or no account. Jammeh knew the executive in the ground were undermining him. He knew. That's why he left them in the back burner. He knew. What all Jammeh wanted, Jammeh knows that Barrow cannot give him what he wants. Jammeh's crimes are of international nature. They are not only domestic. Jammeh would have to face justice. That's why people be the executive of either branch of the APRC are non-entities. They don't know what they're talking about. They are fooling the people. That's the concern we should have is those people running around. And again, I know Gambians, we don't deal with numbers. I know Gambians, we don't do assessments. Go and assess the APRC itself. I did assessment. People I share with would tell you. My calculus was 45,000 votes. That was 2 years ago. It hemorrhaged. APRC vote hemorrhage. I have a methodology, I apply it. I look at data and I came out with the 45%. And it is convincing, to not to me only, but to other people who have what it takes to assess that this is the thing. And I made my assessment and made in that report indicated circumstances that would change, factors that would change the numbers. That the time of elections, it might not be even 20,000 votes. Now, I know Gambians are easily fooled by crowds. If you have 10,000, not even 10, 5,000 people, you have the resources to mobilize them from Foni. You can take them to Birkama, you can take them to Gunjur, you can take them everywhere else. But not only that, there is a way that you even make that crowd to be bigger. If you go into middle of Serakunda during the day, you don't need 1,000 to make your crowd bigger. There are many, many, many things that works, especially looking at lenses of cameras. You have to understand the lenses of cameras. These are assessments that people who understand digital photography will tell you. Yes, even 1,000 votes is relevant in these elections. But it's not votes that that you can just guarantee because someone else guaranteed that vote for you. There are many ways you go for the votes. That's why even the 20,000 is not realistic if election comes. There are other factors that goes up to the day of elections itself. Up to the day of elections itself. And I'll say here, if Barrow might even take time in these elections. If depends on how the election is run. I mean, depends on the candidates we have, depends on how many, the candidates we have, parties running or whatever, independents running. After the nomination, people would technically able to tell you how it's going to be. But Barrow already have lost these elections. Now, the desperations of Barrow, we should be careful of as Gambians. Because as I said, we don't have the institutions. You see, this is the problem. In Senegal, Macky Sall would bring attention. One thing people, the international assessments, people do assessment from anywhere, or domestic anywhere, will tell you, no, things will calm down. Because of what? Senegal is run by institutions. The civil society in Senegal, I am not only talking the what most of us understand as civil society, the non-registered non-government, but even these religious sects in Senegal carry a lot of influence in how the country is governed. They can easily intervene and break away any threat to national security. They might even pause, depends. At times they can even pause. But that depends on how the country is governed. Not only civil society, their institutions. You think what happened in March, in many countries, it would have been worse. But it's better in Senegal because they have institutions. And Senegal have an intelligentsia. I mean, they have intelligent people. I mean, an elite that would not allow certain level of stupidity coming from the executive. Certain level of stupidity. But no, not Gambia. What they do, sit back and watch. That's why you have all this ignorance running around, portraying themselves as controlling anything or running the country. That's why I said, our responsibility. Barrow is not the person that we can rely on. He failed, he doesn't have what it takes, he cannot build capacity. The resources he has, he's not managing them, and problems we are having. This guy cannot even communicate. How can he govern us? And Barrow, as I say, it's just a Yaya. If we allow him, he'll be a Yaya. And this, we are seeing the flashpoints now. Closing people's account by executive orders. I mean, sending PIU on people holding meetings in their own homes. Now, I mean, how does that work? In your own compound? And you see, this is not in defense of APRC. I mean, I'm not even here to qualify that. But human rights are human rights. I mean, assaulting police officers, and this is the journalists, this is not the first one. Remember what happened at that, property, former anti-crime. And you see, again, government trying to take a property forcefully. And that's not the only property. I covered another property that Yaya Jammeh did take from a Gambian, forcefully took from a Gambian. The property that his second wife, Amina, was living in, owned by a Gambian, this government is trying to take that property too. You see, there are many. But Barrow's desperation, we should be very careful of. That's why I'm appealing to Gambian intelligence here. I know we have them. To be more focused. Gambian political party leaders, to be more focused. Gambian citizens to be more focused. And not to react in a manner that that country will be destabilized. That's the ambitions of Yahya Jammeh. Yahya Jammeh does not expect to win an election. But who to blame for this? Barrow. He has all the instruments of power to go after Jammeh. He will not go after Jammeh. Again, there are many things behind this. What it takes. Jammeh is a coward. Jammeh could have fly into the Gambia. There's no law stopping Jammeh coming back to the Gambia. Jammeh would not. Let him indict Jammeh. There's enough evidence to indict Jammeh. You don't have to wait for the TRRC. Nothing to wait for the TRRC. You have enough evidence. But no, he would not. But not only that, he entertained Jammeh. He went on negotiations with Jammeh behind the scenes. He went negotiation with so-called representative Jammeh behind the scenes. When he lost the negotiations in Guinea-Conakry, that's why Barrow accelerated the development with the executive on the ground, because he was running a parallel negotiation. That's why the executive on the ground, Barrow's desperation, that's why they got what they want. They got the money. And I'll tell you, if people think that it was only 3 million given to them, it's a blue lie. That's what is officially been narrated to the grassroots of the APRC. It's a blue lie, I'm telling you that. All these people you see running around, so-called executive of APRC with Jammeh, you think they do it for APRC executive with Barrow, you think they do it for anything else? It's the money. But Barrow himself is because of what? Thinking that he can get the vote. He failed. When he invested all that money into APRC, he realized it didn't work. Now they went and spent more money to try to buy the family of Jammeh, trying to pull the carpet of Jammeh, thinking that if they go and approach Jammeh's family and bribe them and get them on board, then Jammeh would be isolated. They don't understand how it works. You think SIS know what they're doing? No. They completely fail in that listening to, and then they empowered Jammeh. They should have known how Jammeh controlled the APRC, and no, they didn't even know. Because that's what Jammeh does. Jammeh is a soldier, need to know basis. Jammeh knows. Jammeh have never appointed, you see, the executive that form APRC, the executive that run APRC effectively, Jammeh got rid of them. From Buba Balde, Ike Sars, and many others. What he did, look at the executive, look at the composition of the executive. It was deliberate. Yankuba Koli, prominence, and everybody else. You think when Jammeh was naming Yankuba Koli the Sergio Avenue, Yankuba Koli, that was all strategy. Jammeh knew the challenges he was facing. Jammeh, that's why he formed that executive. Jammeh knew that if he had any competent executive, after 2016 election, he would have been finished. That's why he prepared for 2016 election. He prepared for the future. He have puppets. And now look at the so-called executive he have formed again. And you don't know why he chose Satijan Haidara. I'm not going to say that here. But people that know, You think Satijan Haidara have any competence or anything? He's just a puppet. And it's not only Satijan Haidara, things are going to come out. Barrow doesn't even know what's in that country. But it's for us to behave ourselves, to be strategic, to ensure we have a free and fair elections, stable elections. What Barrow have to be held accountable. And finally, to give an example again of Barrow posing the threat to our national security, I'll try and tomorrow and touch on that. Just this is the drug cartels. The drug cartels. You know, what is happening here? You have State House. State House is the drug cartel. You have State House. This is how they operate. You have State House, and you have political patrons. People giving money to State House, to Barrow himself, associating with Barrow. Now, these people are linked to drug cartels in Guinea-Bissau. These drug cartels are both South American and Lebanese Hezbollah sympathizers. People that know would know. And these political patrons are Gambians and non-Gambians. Mainly Gambians and Senegalese, mainly. Now, these people are the one controlling the drug trade in the Gambia, but they are not the only. Now, through their influence on Barrow, now they are controlling the drug enforcement agencies and the security, law enforcement agencies and the criminal justice system. Through these political patrons who are giving millions to Barrow. Another aspect is you have the domestic, a local network. These are enablers of different levels, facilitators of different levels for the infrastructure, the drug infrastructure in the country. There's a big drug infrastructure in the country. That's why you see overnight millionaires. So-called businesses, you don't see where the business market is. Businesses without market, but you can see them running their Range Rovers and building big houses. So-called money exchange transfer bureaus, so-called real estate businesses. Why those accounts are not investigated and closed down? No, they will not. Because all these things is linked to the cartel for money laundering. It's not only bringing drugs, you have to take, you have to have an infrastructure to launder the money. Now, these are the aspects you have. And they are all linked back to Barrow. And you have them in Guinea-Bissau. And now, ask yourself, Gambians, ask why Gambia government is not talking about the drugs in the Gambia and what is involved with Gambia. I'm not saying we forget about the 3 tons. Let's talk about the 2 tons. And when we're talking about the 2 tons, this is why we're talking about the 2 tons, because that's the evidence we have. But I'll tell you that we have allegations it's more than 2 tons because some of the drugs were dropped in the Gambia and we are looking at, and some of the drugs went through by land to Senegal. We are following up. We're following up. We're digging up. People that say, oh, give us all the story. No. We are doing our investigations and we're coming along with it. We're coming along with it. We are holding certain names for now. Because we don't want to take allegations. We don't want to take single source. We want to collaborate things. Even though we believe it's fact, but we have to have collaborative evidence on this. Because we cannot hold some of this, we cannot have access to some of the material evidence, but we had some of these things by means of videos and photos. And I have been sharing some of these things already. But there's so much I'm holding back. But everything links to Barrow. And the resources and Barrow and the NPP for that matter, because some of these business patrons, like Ababakar Jawara, he's lying. I challenge him to sue me. He have money to sue me here. Or let him even sue me in the Gambia, I'll come. Let him sue me in the Gambia, I'll come. Like Ababakar Jawara, they are paying off journalists. They are paying off, influencers. You think some of the people traveling, I'm not saying all, some of the people traveling to diaspora are paying for themselves, or the hotels they stay in, be paying for the hotels, or the compounds they stay in is theirs? And others. Barrow, this is the situation we have. That's why we have a narco state. They tell me why the Gambia government did not talk about the two tons of drugs, which already, guys, I can't take anyone. I'll be leaving soon. That's why I can't take anyone. That's why I'm using my phone. I even stayed longer. I didn't want to stay this long. The tons of this thing is already today. I've just woke up. I've not looked at my messages. But today, the people that arrested in Senegal are going to the courts. And I know for a fact that Senegal have sent an intelligence to the Gambia. It's only one person I know of for now they invited for interview. I'm not naming that person for now, for certain reasons. Because I'm trying to approach that person. I've sent messages. I'm trying to approach that person to have a person. Because I know he's not at the top. I'm not interested. I want to build everything up, but especially to get people from the top. What happened with the Banta case? That's what I want to avoid. An innocent Gambian who should have been a witness, a state witness, is in prison. Banta is nowhere. Not only Banta, the others around Banta are still in business. We cannot break the cartel without that. And again, we keep on saying that our youths are unruly, our youths are criminals, our youths are terrorizing us, our youths are burglaring. If we don't stop this narco state, this is the recipe of it. If we don't stop the importation and the money laundering, this is the recipe of it. And it's built on Barrow. It's worse today than it was in Yaya Jammeh. Yaya Jammeh had this resemblance of control. Barrow has no control, no clue about this. Yes, he knows about the money. It's illegal. He knows that these people might be. Everything is controlled through these political patrons. Getting involved with Hezbollah, getting involved with Colombians, getting involved with Venezuelans, building Gambian local networks. Gambian, ask yourself. All the evidence I've produced there, people that ask for evidence. Denton Bridge, how can anybody have the audacity to bring more than 2 tons of cocaine and put it in a boat, and that boat stayed at Denton Bridge? In the open, Denton Bridge, the biggest checkpoint we ever have, the most sensitive checkpoint. That boat could have been weapons. That boat could have been mercenaries. Where's the security in that country? Because of Barrow compromise, everything. You see, corruption. It's because of corruption. The police would not act. The NID, local, I don't know, drug squad would not act. But every day we see them go and arrest youths going to Casamas or somewhere else with motorbikes, cars, bring some bundles of wheat. But tons of cocaine, we don't see them prosecuted or anything. Now that boat stayed in the Gambia. That boat came as in blue color. It was repainted in the Gambia. The boat came as a normal boat. They changed it to a cruise. They advertised they're going to doing cruise ship. It's all a cover. That's enough evidence to effect arrest now. But no, don't even talk about it. But we want to be quiet. And we want to be distracted by he said, she said, he said in politics. He said in politics. When the country is in this dear state. Guys, that's why I mean, again, what this narco state tells you, again, go and look at Guinea-Bissau, how it went on. Barrow. Jammeh. This is a situation, that's why Barrow is 6 and 9. The drug cartels are taking over. And go and look, just, if you don't want to read, go YouTube. YouTube, what I'm telling you, the Hezbollah network in Guinea-Bissau, they're still there. You find it in YouTube. The Venezuelans and others, how they work. The reason that led to the killing of Nino Vera, the instability of Guinea-Bissau is all drugs. The role the security sector played in Guinea-Bissau is there. What it did to the people in Guinea-Bissau is there. The junkies and everything is there. It's fact. Gambia is going through the same thing. We're going through the same thing in 4 years of Barrow. In the 4 years of Barrow and now 5 years. Gambia, decide for yourself. I am not here propagating that Barrow lose the election. Barrow have already lost the elections. I am talking about that's for politicians to go and do. I am talking about national security. Gambians to make sure we don't fall for Barrow. Barrow have played into Yaya Jammeh hands. Let us not play into Yaya Jammeh hands. All these people running around for Yaya Jammeh, whatever it is, they are clueless. We cannot tolerate a criminal of the biggest this thing to be celebrated or to be listened to anything. But who is to blame is Barrow. It's Barrow. He has the executive powers, and he, instead of using executive powers for national interest, it's for Barrow's interest. Guys, thank you very much. I'm very sorry, brother Alfajo. I could not take you all this thing. I was going out now. That's why I'm using my phone. Sorry about that, but another time. Please message me and we'll talk about it. Thank you, guys. Have a good day.